18 years of marriage. Then my wife told me she was going on a date with another man. I'll make it up to you later, she said casually. I warn her, walk out that door, and everything changes. She didn't listen. What happened next destroyed her completely, and she never saw it coming. My name is Ryan Mitchell. I'm 46 years old, and I've spent the last 2 decades building something solid, a successful automotive parts wholesale business in Phoenix, Arizona, a beautiful home in Scottsdale, and what I thought was an unshakable marriage. Jessica and I met in our 20s, back when I was just starting out, and she was finishing her marketing degree. We built our life together brick by brick. 2 kids, Brandon, 16, and Emma, 11, completed what I believed was the perfect picture. But perfection is just an illusion, isn't it? The evening it all came apart started like any other Tuesday. I gotten home from the warehouse around 6, loosened my tie, and found Jessica in the kitchen. She wasn't cooking. She was standing by the counter, glass of wine in hand, staring out the window with this distant look I'd seen more and more lately. "Hey," I said, kissing her cheek. She barely turned. "We need to talk," she said flatly. Those 4 words. They never lead anywhere good. I pulled out a chair at the kitchen table, my gut already tightening. Jessica sat across from me, swirling her wine like she was searching for courage at the bottom of the glass. "I've been feeling trapped," she began, not meeting my eyes. "Like I'm just going through the motions. Ryan, I need something for myself. Something exciting." I leaned forward, trying to understand. "Okay, what are you saying? You want to take a class? Go on a trip?" She finally looked at me, and what I saw in her eyes made my blood run cold. "I'm going on a date," she said simply, "with someone from work." The words hit me like a freight train. I sat there, stunned, waiting for the punchline that never came. "A date," I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. "You're married, Jessica. We have kids. What are you talking about?" She set her glass down with deliberate calm. "It's not about you, Ryan. I just need to feel alive again. I'll make it up to you later, I promise." Make it up to me. Like she was borrowing the car for the weekend. 18 years of marriage. And she was asking permission to cheat like it was some kind of trial separation. "Jessica, if you walk out that door to meet another man, there's no coming back from that," I said, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. "I'm warning you. This will change everything." She stood up, grabbing her purse from the counter. "You're overreacting. I just need space to figure out who I am." I watched her walk toward the door, every step feeling like a knife twisting deeper. Part of me wanted to grab her, to shake sense into her. But I stayed frozen, gripping the edge of the table until my knuckles turned white. The door closed behind her, and the house fell silent except for the sound of my own breathing. That's when I knew. The woman I married was gone, and the battle for everything I'd built was just beginning. The night Jessica left for her date, I didn't sleep. I sat in my home office, staring at the wall, trying to process what had just happened. Brandon came downstairs around 10, grabbing his snack from the kitchen. "Dad, where's Mom?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe. I forced myself to sound normal. "She went out with some friends. She'll be back later." He nodded, but I caught the doubt in his eyes. At 16, he was smart enough to sense when something was off. "Okay. Night, Dad." "Night, son." After he went back upstairs, I grabbed my laptop and did something I never thought I'd do. I checked our bank account. The joint account Jessica and I shared showed transactions I didn't recognize. Dinner in an upscale Italian place downtown, a boutique clothing store, a spa visit last Tuesday. None of these she'd mentioned to me. My jaw tightened as I scrolled further back. 3 months of charges, all small enough not to raise immediate red flags. But together they painted a clear picture. She'd been planning this. Around 2 in the morning, I heard the garage door open. Jessica walked in, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. She looked refreshed, happy even. That hurt more than anything. "You're still up?" she asked, setting her purse on the counter. I stood from the couch, keeping my distance. "How was your date?" She shrugged, avoiding eye contact. "It was nice. Look, Ryan, I know you're upset, but this isn't about you." "Not about me." My voice rose despite my best effort to stay calm. "Jessica, you're my wife. You're the mother of our children. Everything you do affects us." She turned to face me, her expression hardening. "I'm tired of being just Ryan's wife or the kid's mom. I need to be me." And who's this guy you need to be yourself with? I asked, stepping closer. What's his name? Tyler, she said defiantly. He's a sales manager at work. He listens to me, Ryan. He makes me feel seen. Tyler. Now the ghost had a name. How long? I asked quietly. She hesitated. A few months. It started as just talking, but a few months. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. You've been lying to me for months. Jessica grabbed her purse and headed toward the stairs. I'm not doing this tonight. I'm exhausted. I watch her walk away, every step twisting the knife deeper. But as the bedroom door closed upstairs, something shifted inside me. The hurt began to crystallize into something else, determination. She wanted to play games? Fine. But she'd underestimated who she was playing against. The next morning, I made a decision. I called my brother Kyle. I need your help, I said when he picked up. Jessica's having an affair, and I need to know everything. Kyle didn't hesitate. I know a guy. Best private investigator in Phoenix. Let me make a call. As I hung up, I looked at the family photo on my desk. Jessica, me, Brandon, and Emma, all smiling on a beach vacation 3 years ago. That version of us was gone. Now it was time to fight for what remained. Friday morning, I met Kyle at a diner near my warehouse. He was already there when I arrived, nursing a cup of black coffee. My older brother had always been the steady one, a successful electrical contractor who'd seen his share of life's curveballs. You look like hell, Kyle said as I slid into the booth. Feel worse, I replied, ordering coffee from the waitress. Thanks for meeting me. Kyle leaned forward, his expression serious. Tell me everything. I laid it all out, Jessica's announcement, the date, the bank statements, Tyler Brooks. With each detail, Kyle's jaw tightened. 18 years, he said, shaking his head. And she just throws it away for some punk at her office? Apparently. I stir my coffee, the exhaustion weighing on me. I need to know what I'm dealing with, Kyle. Is this just some emotional affair, or has it gone further? Kyle pulled out his phone. I called Greg Whitaker this morning. Best PI in the business. He's expensive, but he's worth every penny. Did surveillance work for one of my clients going through a nasty divorce. The guy's a bloodhound. He texted me Greg's number. Call him today. The sooner you know what you're up against, the sooner you can protect yourself and the kids. What about Jessica? I asked. Part of me still wants to fix this. Kyle's expression hardened. Ryan, listen to me. The woman you married wouldn't have done this. Whatever Jessica's become, she's not thinking about you or those kids. You need to accept that and start protecting what matters. His words stung because they were true. There's something else, Kyle continued. You need to see a lawyer. Even if you're not ready to file, you need to know your options. Amanda Foster, she handled my buddy's custody case. Tough as nails and doesn't take prisoners. I nodded, feeling the weight of reality settling in. This wasn't just about a marriage falling apart anymore. This was about survival. One more thing, Kyle said, his voice dropping. Don't let Jessica know what you're doing. No confrontations, no threats. You gather evidence quietly, get your ducks in a row, and when the time comes, you hit her with everything at once. Sound cold, I said. It's strategic, Kyle corrected. She's already shown you who she is. Believe her. After breakfast, I sat in my truck and called Greg Whitaker. He answered on the second ring. Greg Whitaker. Mr. Whitaker, my name is Ryan Mitchell. My brother Kyle gave me your number. I need your help. Tell me what's going on, Greg said, his voice professional but not unkind. I explained the situation, Jessica's affair, Tyler Brooks, the need for proof. I can help you, Greg said, but I need everything you've got. Phone numbers, addresses, work schedules. The more information you give me, the faster I can work. When can we meet? This afternoon, 2 o'clock. I'll text you my office address. As I drove to the warehouse, something shifted inside me. The hurt was still there, but underneath it was something harder, sharper, a determination to protect my kids and everything I'd built. Jessica wanted to play games. She was about to learn I didn't play to lose. Greg Whitaker's office was tucked into a nondescript building in downtown Phoenix. Nothing fancy, just functional, which told me he spent his money on results, not appearances. The man himself was in his late 50s, gray hair cropped short, wearing jeans and a polo shirt. Former military, I guess from his posture. Ryan Mitchell, he asked, extending a hand. That's me, I said, shaking it. His grip was firm, confident. Have a seat, Greg said, gesturing to a chair across from his desk. Kyle speaks highly of you. Says you're in a tough spot. I handed him a folder I'd prepared, printed bank statements, Jessica's work schedule, Tyler Brooks's information I'd found on LinkedIn, and screenshots of suspicious charges. Greg flipped through the documents, his expression unreadable. After a few minutes, he looked up. Your wife's not being subtle, he said. That's good for us. Makes my job easier. You want to know if this Tyler character is the only one? The question hit me like a punch. You think there might be others? In my experience, when someone's willing to throw away an 18-year marriage this casually, it's usually not their first rodeo, Greg said bluntly. But we'll find out. I'll surveil her, track her movements, document everything. Photos, videos, the works. My stomach churned at the thought, but I nodded. How long? Give me a week. Maybe 2 if she's careful. But from what you're showing me, she's not trying too hard to hide it. Greg leaned back in his chair. I have to ask, are you prepared for what I might find? I thought about Brandon and Emma, about the house we'd built together, about 18 years of memories that now felt tainted. I need to know the truth, I said firmly. Whatever it is. Fair enough. Greg pulled out a contract. My retainer is $5,000. I charge $200 an hour plus expenses. Everything I find is admissible in court, photographed, documented. You'll get a full report. I didn't hesitate. I pulled out my checkbook and wrote the amount. This wasn't about the money anymore. One more thing, Greg said as I stood to leave. Don't change your behavior around your wife. Act normal. Don't let on that you suspect anything beyond what she's already admitted. If she thinks you're investigating, she'll go underground, and my job gets a lot harder. I understand, I said. That evening, I came home to find Jessica cooking dinner like nothing had happened. Emma was setting the table, chattering about her day at school. Hi, Daddy, Emma said, running over to hug me. I hugged her back, fighting to keep my voice steady. Hi, sweetheart. How was school? Good. We're learning about the solar system. Jessica glanced over from the stove. Dinner's almost ready. I met her eyes, seeing a stranger looking back at me. But I smiled and nodded. Smells great. We sat down as a family, Brandon quiet as usual, Emma talking nonstop about planets. Jessica acted like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't just detonated our entire lives. I played along, asking questions, laughing at Emma's jokes. But inside, I was counting down the days until Greg Whitaker gave me the ammunition I needed. Because when the time came, Jessica was going to learn exactly what happened when you betrayed a man who'd given you everything. 10 days later, Greg Whitaker called. We need to meet. I've got what you asked for. My stomach dropped. Part of me had been hoping he'd find nothing, that Jessica's date was just a moment of temporary insanity. But Greg's tone told me otherwise. I met him at his office that afternoon. He had a thick folder waiting on his desk, and his expression was grim. Before I show you this, Greg said, I want to make sure you're ready. What's in here is going to hurt. I took a deep breath. Show me. He opened the folder. The first photograph showed Jessica and Tyler Brooks entering a hotel in Tempe. The timestamp read, 3 days ago, 2:17 p.m. My hands trembled as I flipped to the next image. Them in a restaurant, Jessica laughing, her hand on his arm. Another photo showed them kissing in a parking garage. There's more, Greg said quietly. This isn't recent. I pulled some records. This has been going on for at least 6 months, maybe longer. 6 months. Half a year of lies. I found something else, Greg continued, pulling out another document. Financial records. Jessica's been transferring money from your joint account into a separate account. About $40,000 over the past 4 months. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. She wasn't just having an affair. She was stealing from me, planning her exit strategy while I worked 60-hour weeks to provide for our family. There's one more thing you should know, Greg said, his voice careful. This Tyler Brooks character? He's 31, single, works in sales at her company. But here's the kicker. He's been feeding her information about your business contacts. I think he's been trying to use her connections to land deals. My vision blurred with rage. He's using her. Looks that way. I did some digging. He's ambitious, not exactly known for his ethics. Your wife might think this is some great love story, but to him, she's a means to an end. I closed the folder, my hand shaking. What about the affair itself? Physical proof. Greg hesitated. Hotel records show they've checked in together 7 times in the past 2 months. I have photos of them entering and leaving. Can't get pictures of what happens inside, but the circumstantial evidence is overwhelming. I stood abruptly, needing to move, to do something with the fury building inside me. This whole time, I said, my voice rough, she's been playing the victim, acting like I'm the problem. People justify their actions however they need to, Greg said. But the facts don't lie. You've got everything you need for court: infidelity, financial misconduct, premeditation. Your lawyer's going to have a field day with this. I took the folder. Its weight somehow heavier than it should be. Thank you, Greg. Ryan, he said as I reached the door. One more piece of advice. Don't confront her yet. Take this to your lawyer first. Let her build your case. Emotion makes people stupid, and you need to be smart right now. I nodded, though every fiber of my being wanted to drive home and throw those photos in Jessica's face. Instead, I sat in my truck in a parking lot and called Amanda Foster. This is Amanda. Miss Foster, my name is Ryan Mitchell. I need to file for divorce. Amanda Foster's law office was in North Scottsdale, all glass and steel. Professional, intimidating, exactly what I needed. The woman herself was in her early 50s, dressed in a sharp navy suit, her gray-streaked hair pulled back in a neat bun. Mr. Mitchell, she said, shaking my hand firmly. Kyle spoke very highly of you. Have a seat. I sat across from her desk and slid Greg's folder across. This is what I'm dealing with. Amanda opened it, her expression remaining neutral as she reviewed the photographs, financial records, and surveillance reports. After several minutes, she looked up. Your wife's attorney is going to have a very bad day, she said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. This is airtight. Infidelity, financial misconduct, and if you're interested in pursuing it, I can make a case for fraud. What about my kids? I asked. Brandon's 16, Emma's 11. I want primary custody. Amanda nodded, making notes. With this evidence, you've got a strong case. Your wife's behavior demonstrates poor judgment and a disregard for the family's well-being. We'll file for temporary custody immediately, along with an injunction preventing her from accessing joint accounts or making major financial decisions. How long does this take? If she contests it, could be 6 months to a year. But given what you've shown me, I don't think she'll have much ground to stand on. Amanda leaned back. Here's what we're going to do. We'll file this week. The sheriff will serve her papers, probably at work. It'll be public. It'll be humiliating. And that's the point. We want her to understand immediately that she's not in control anymore. Good, I said, my jaw tight. One thing you need to prepare for, Amanda continued, her tone serious. She's going to lash out. Women like your wife, when they realize they've been caught, they get desperate. She'll try to paint you as the villain. Abusive, controlling, whatever narrative she thinks will work. You need to document everything from this point forward. Every conversation, every text, every interaction. Understand. Do you have somewhere the kids can stay for a few days after she's served? Amanda asked. Things might get ugly. I thought of Kyle. My brother's place. They can stay there if needed. Good. Amanda stood, extending her hand. I'll have the papers drawn up by tomorrow. You're doing the right thing, Ryan. Your kids are lucky to have a father willing to fight for them. As I left her office, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Not for my marriage. That was dead and buried. But hope that I could salvage something from the wreckage, that Brandon and Emma would come through this okay. That evening, I sat Brandon down in my home office. At 16, he deserved to know what was coming. Dad, what's going on? He asked, sensing the gravity of the moment. I took a deep breath. Your mom and I are getting divorced. I'm filing papers this week. His face paled. Because of her date. So he'd known more than I thought. Yeah, buddy. That and a lot of other things. I'm fighting for custody of you and Emma. I need you to trust me. I'm doing this to protect you both. Brandon was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked up at me. Dad, I want to stay with you. Whatever happens, I want to stay with you. The words broke something inside me, but I held it together. I'm going to make sure you do. As he left, I stared at the family photo on my desk, the last remnant of a life that no longer existed. Tomorrow, the war would begin in earnest. And this time I was ready. The sheriff served Jessica at work on a Thursday afternoon. I wasn't there to see it, but Kyle's friend who worked in the same building told me. She walked out of her office white-faced, clutching the envelope like it might explode. She burst through our front door at 6 o'clock, papers in hand, her face twisted with rage. "What the hell is this?" Jessica shouted, throwing the divorce papers on the kitchen counter where I was helping Emma with homework. "Emma, go to your room, sweetheart," I said calmly. My daughter looked between us, fear in her eyes, but she obeyed. Once she was upstairs, I turned to face Jessica. "It's exactly what it says. I'm filing for divorce and primary custody. You can't do this." Her voice rose to a shriek. "You can't take my children from me." "I'm not taking them from you," I said, my voice level. "You abandoned them when you decided Tyler Brooks was more important than your family." Jessica's face flushed. "This is about control. You've always been controlling, Ryan. Always needing to know where I am, what I'm doing." I pulled out my phone and opened the folder of photographs Greg had provided. "This is about 18 years of marriage that you threw away for a 31-year-old who's using you for business connections. Did you really think Tyler cared about you? Or did you just not care that he was playing you?" Her eyes widened as she saw the photos. "You had me followed. You invaded my privacy. You stole $40,000 from our joint account," I said, my voice hardening. "You've been lying for 6 months. You don't get to talk to me about privacy." Jessica grabbed the counter, her defiance crumbling. "Ryan, please. We can fix this. I made a mistake, but we can work through it." "No," I said firmly. "You don't get to play the victim now. You made your choice. Now you live with the consequences." She tried a different approach, her voice softening. "Think about the kids. Brandon and Emma need their mother. Don't do this to them." "I'm thinking about the kids," I replied, "which is why I'm making sure they have one stable parent. You can have supervised visitation. The court will decide the rest." Jessica's expression shifted to something ugly. "You're going to regret this. I'll tell everyone what you've done. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are." "Go ahead," I said, meeting her eyes. "I've got 18 years of being a good husband and father. You've got 6 months of hotel receipts and lies. See who people believe." She grabbed her purse and stormed toward the door, then turned back. "This isn't over, Ryan." "Yes, it is." After she left, Brandon came downstairs. He'd obviously been listening. "Dad, are we going to be okay?" he asked quietly. I put my arm around his shoulders. "Yes, son, we're going to be fine." 2 days after Jessica was served, she went nuclear on Facebook. I woke up Saturday morning to dozens of notifications, friends, colleagues, even clients messaging me about her post. I opened Facebook and felt my stomach drop. After 18 years of marriage, I've finally found the courage to speak my truth, Jessica had written. "I've endured years of emotional manipulation and control. My husband has isolated me from friends, monitored my every move, and made me feel like I was losing my mind. I stayed for my children, but I can't do it anymore. To anyone in a similar situation, you're not alone. #SpeakYourTruth #SurvivorStory. The post had over 200 reactions and dozens of comments, mostly from her friends offering support. But some are questioning. My phone rang. It was Kyle. "Have you seen this garbage?" my brother demanded. "Just now." "Ryan, you need to respond. She's destroying your reputation." "Amanda told me not to engage," I said, though my hands were shaking with anger. "Let her dig her own grave. At least screenshot everything. This is defamation. Your lawyer can use it." I spent the next hour documenting Jessica's post and every comment. Then something unexpected happened. A comment from Rachel Coleman, one of Jessica's longtime friends. "Jess, I love you, but this doesn't add up. Ryan's been nothing but supportive of you. Maybe you should handle this privately." Within minutes, Rachel's comment was deleted, and Jessica had blocked her. Then my phone rang. It was Rachel. "Ryan, I'm so sorry," she said immediately. "I didn't want to get involved, but I can't stay silent anymore. Jessica's been bragging about Tyler for months. She told me you were boring, that she deserved better. This victim act is complete nonsense. Would you be willing to testify to that?" I asked. Rachel hesitated, then said firmly, "Yes. She's lying, and your kids don't deserve this." "Thank you, Rachel." I forwarded everything to Amanda, who called within the hour. "This is gold," Amanda said, satisfaction in her voice. "She's committing defamation in real time. We'll add it to the filing." And Rachel's testimony? That's going to destroy Jessica's credibility. That afternoon, I got another call from a number I didn't recognize. "Mr. Mitchell, this is Victoria Brooks, Tyler's ex-wife." My heart raced. Mrs. Brooks, what can I do for you? I know what your wife and my ex-husband have been doing, Victoria said, her voice tight with anger. And I think you should know, Jessica wasn't Tyler's first affair. He has a pattern. He targets older women in corporate settings, uses them for connections, then moves on. Would you be willing to share what you know? I asked. Absolutely, Victoria said. Tyler destroyed my family. If I can help prevent him from doing the same to yours, I will. I have text messages, emails, everything. Your wife isn't special to him. She's just another mark. After he hung up, I called Amanda again. We've got Tyler Brooks's ex-wife willing to testify. She's got evidence that Jessica's just one in a pattern. Amanda laughed. Actually laughed. Ryan, your wife just handed us the case on a silver platter. Between Rachel, Victoria, the financial records, and her social media meltdown, she doesn't stand a chance. For the first time in weeks, I allowed myself to feel something close to relief. The courtroom was packed on the day of the final hearing. Jessica sat at the defendant's table with her attorney, a young guy who looked like he wished he was anywhere else. Amanda sat beside me, her folder thick with evidence, her expression confident. The judge, a woman in her 60s named Helen Rodriguez, reviewed the case file as we waited. Finally, she looked up. This court will hear testimony regarding custody and asset division in the matter of Mitchell versus Mitchell, Judge Rodriguez said. Ms. Foster, you may begin. Amanda stood, commanding the room, immediately. Your Honor, this case is straightforward. Mr. Mitchell has been a devoted father and husband for 18 years. The evidence will show that Mrs. Mitchell engaged in a prolonged extramarital affair, committed financial fraud by stealing $40,000 from joint accounts, and demonstrated a pattern of deception that makes her unfit for primary custody. She presented Greg's photographs, the financial records, and the testimony from Rachel Coleman. Then Victoria Brooks took the stand. Mrs. Brooks, how do you know the defendant? Amanda asked. Jessica Mitchell is having an affair with my ex-husband, Tyler, Victoria said clearly. Tyler has a pattern of targeting married women in corporate settings. He uses them for business connections, then discards them. I have evidence that he's been asking Mrs. Mitchell about her husband's automotive contacts to benefit his own career. Jessica's attorney tried to object, but Judge Rodriguez overruled him. Continue, Ms. Foster. Rachel testified next, describing how Jessica had bragged about the affair and showed no remorse. Then Brandon took the stand. Brandon, how has your mother's behavior affected you? Amanda asked gently. My son's voice was steady, mature beyond his 16 years. She stopped being present. She was always on her phone, always leaving. My dad's been the one helping with homework, cooking dinner, making sure Emma and I are okay. I want to live with him. I watched Jessica's face crumble as our son spoke, but I felt no satisfaction, only sadness for what she destroyed. Jessica's attorney tried to paint her as a victim of a controlling husband, but it fell flat. When Jessica took the stand, Amanda destroyed her credibility with surgical precision. Mrs. Mitchell, you stated in your social media post that your husband was controlling. Yet you had free access to all bank accounts, correct? Yes, but... And you used that access to steal $40,000 over 4 months? Jessica's face reddened. I wasn't stealing. I was protecting myself. Protecting yourself by funding an extramarital affair. Amanda's voice was sharp. No further questions, Your Honor. Judge Rodriguez took a brief recess, then returned with her decision. I've reviewed all evidence and testimony, she said. Mrs. Mitchell's actions demonstrate a profound lack of judgment and disregard for her children's welfare. Mr. Mitchell is hereby granted primary physical custody of both minor children. Mrs. Mitchell will have supervised visitation every other weekend, to be reviewed in 9 months. Additionally, Mrs. Mitchell is ordered to repay the $40,000 she withdrew without consent, plus court costs and a portion of Mr. Mitchell's legal fees. The gavel struck, and it was over. Jessica sat frozen, her attorney whispering urgently in her ear. I stood, shook Amanda's hand, and walked out of that courtroom with my head high. Outside, Brandon and Emma were waiting with Kyle. Emma ran to me, and I scooped her up. Is it over, Daddy? She asked. Yeah, sweetheart. It's over. We're going home. 8 months after the divorce was finalized, life had found its rhythm again. Brandon was thriving in his junior year, even talking about colleges. Emma had joined the soccer team, and was making new friends. The house felt lighter, like we could all finally breathe. I'd sold the Scottsdale house, too many bad memories, and bought a smaller place in North Phoenix with a big backyard. The kids had helped me pick it out, and it felt like ours in a way the old house never had. The automotive business was doing better than ever. Turns out, when you're not emotionally destroyed by your spouse's betrayal, you can focus on work. I'd landed 2 major contracts and hired 3 new employees. Jessica's supervised visits were awkward at first. She'd show up looking diminished, quiet in a way she'd never been before. Tyler had dumped her 2 months after the divorce was final, exactly as Victoria had predicted. Apparently, once Jessica lost access to my business contacts, she was no longer useful to him. One Saturday afternoon, Jessica asked if she could talk to me after dropping Emma off. "What is it?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. "I wanted to say I'm sorry," Jessica said, her eyes red. "For everything. I destroyed our family because I was selfish and stupid. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know I regret it. All of it." I studied her for a long moment. The anger that had sustained me through the worst of it was gone, replaced by something closer to pity. "I appreciate you saying that," I said finally, "but it doesn't change anything. You made choices, and we all have to live with them." "I know," she whispered. "Can I ask one thing? Can I have more time with the kids? I want to rebuild those relationships." I thought about Brandon and Emma, about their right to have a relationship with their mother if she was willing to put in the work. If you can prove to the court that you're stable, job, therapy, no more Tyler or anyone like him, then we could talk about modifying the custody arrangement. But that's up to you to earn. Jessica nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you, Ryan. I'll do better. I promise." As she left, I felt something unexpected. Hope. Not for us, but for her to become someone our kids could respect again. That evening, I barbecued in the backyard while Brandon played catch with Emma. Kyle stopped by with beer and his famous potato salad. "You look happy," my brother said, handing me a cold one. "I am," I replied, watching my kids laugh. "It took hell to get here, but yeah, I'm happy. You did good, little brother. You protected those kids and kept your dignity. That's what matters." Later, after everyone had gone to bed, I stood on the back porch looking at the stars. 18 years of my life had been built on a foundation that turned out to be sand. But from the wreckage, I'd built something stronger, a home where my kids felt safe, where honesty mattered, where we didn't have to walk on eggshells. Jessica had tried to destroy me, but she'd failed, because I'd learned something important through all of it. Strength isn't about never falling down. It's about getting back up, dusting yourself off, and fighting for what matters. And that's exactly what I'd done.